Welcome to Nobody Told Me. I'm Laura Owens.
And I'm Jan Black. We want to give a very warm welcome to our guest on this episode, Nastia Liukin. Nastia is, of course, an Olympic gymnastics all-around gold medalist, a television commentator, a top competitor on Dancing with the Stars, and the author of the book, Finding My Shine, which is her autobiography. Nastia's passion these days lies in inspiring others, and we want to hear all about that.
Nastia, thank you so much for joining us today. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Take us back to those early years, because it seems like you were practically born on the balance beam. You started doing gymnastics at such a young age.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. Both my parents were actually gymnasts. My dad competed at the '88 Olympics, won 2 gold and 2 silver medals. My mom was a world champion. And so when I was born, I really did spend a lot of time growing up on the gymnastics floor as opposed to, taking my first steps as a baby, I guess, on a living room. It was really on the gymnastics floor, and then it was on the balance beam. And for me, it was truly something that I just fell in love with and I had such a passion for. And it was never something they really wanted me to do because they knew how hard it was, but they also saw how much love and passion that I had for it. And they just wanted, me to know that it was never going to be forced by them.
But how difficult was it growing up with parents who had succeeded so much themselves in that sport?
To be honest, it was actually, I thought of it as an advantage. I never really thought that it was difficult. I always thought it was the coolest thing in the world because, my parents achieved the things that I truly just wanted to achieve throughout my career. So it was never something that, I really never saw it as added pressure, expectations until the year of the Olympics. The media kind of started putting that in my head of, don't you feel like you need to live up to these expectations? And for me, it was never really the case. I was always, thinking about it in a different way of, okay, my dad has literally been there, done that, and now he's my coach guiding me on to do this. How awesome is this that I even have the opportunity to try to, do the things that they did.
And on our show, we always talk about mental strength and how people get through tough times and how they succeed. So how did you get mentally strong enough, not just to compete in the Olympics, but to be a contender for a gold medal when you did have that pressure from the media?
The pressure of representing your entire country at something like the Olympic Games, I wanted to live up to the expectations. I wanted to make everybody proud. So I did a lot of reading. I did I'm a huge fan of self-help books and just really trying to learn from others. I always say, to this day, I never want to be the smartest person in any room. So I truly just tried to learn from others, whether it was my dad, whether it was my teammates, my other coaches, peers, mentors. I was so lucky to have so many amazing people right in front of me that I was able to learn from. And so as physically demanding as, the sport of gymnastics, it's really any sport or any obstacle that you have to tackle. It's almost more mentally challenging and demanding. And so visualization for me was so key in creating, goal sheets and vision boards and truly just envisioning kind of the outcome that I wanted.
You wrote that the night before you won gold in Beijing, you remember having jitters and replaying your routines over and over in your mind. I'm wondering, do you think those nerves helped you, or do you wish you could have somehow quieted them?
No, not at all. I think if you're able to get to a point in your career where you're able to kind of have those nerves be an advantage as opposed to a disadvantage, I really feel like it brought out the best in me. And it was I still to this day kind of go back to that moment and truly dream about that moment, dream about being, so nervous, so excited, all those feelings that I truly have never quite been able to replicate. And I feel like I finally come to terms with, I probably won't really ever feel those feelings again because I was competing, in front of 20,000 people, but also millions and millions watching back all at home and all around the world. And the pressure and the expectation and everything was just so high. And so I really don't think there will ever be a moment like that, but I'm so thankful for that moment. And I'm so thankful that I truly was able to not only physically perform, but really mentally perform.
And what do you think that taught you about appreciating the present moment and not looking towards the future and not looking back at the past?
Well, so growing up, and I mean, really throughout my whole career and my life, I really struggled with that, to be honest. Like, I always wanted, even just like as a child, I always wanted to be 10, to be double digits. Then I wanted to
Right.
be 16, and then I wanted to be 16 and 18 and 21 and all of these things. And now, I feel like it took me a very long time to truly appreciate being in the present and understanding that I've always been one to believe that, we shouldn't have regrets. And, we all make mistakes, but I think we can learn from those mistakes in life. And whether that's, in life and relationships and sports and whatever kind of part of your life that is, I think it's so important, instead of regretting things, to kind of accept that, something has happened and to figure out, okay, how do I not do that again? How do I learn from this? How do I move forward, instead of dwelling, in the past and wishing that you could go back?
How did your life change after becoming a gold medalist in 2008 when you no longer had the strict training regimen you'd had leading up to the games?
Well, that was probably, transitions for anybody are extremely difficult, whether that's, for me, finishing my competitive career after I truly felt like gymnastics defined me, if it's, graduating from high school, graduating from college, starting a new job, going into a new career or industry. I mean, transitions are one of the hardest things in life. Becoming a mom for the first time. I mean, I'm very aware how difficult all of these transitions are. That being said, I feel like, after, I was able to kind of put gymnastics aside for a little bit, I'll forever have such a passion for it, and it will be such a huge part of my life. That being said, I kind of have learned and realized that gymnastics doesn't define who I am as a person. I'm so much more than, this sport and being a gymnast and being an Olympian. While I'm so proud of the things that I was able to do as a gymnast, I've, realized that it doesn't define who you are.
After the Olympics in 2008, you decided to make a bid for the Olympics in 2012. And I'm wondering how preparing for the possibility of going to the Olympics again was different after you'd already won, and what the pressure was like compared to 2008.
Well, the pressure was even higher because now I was going in as the reigning Olympic all-around champion, as opposed to when you go in before, you're just becoming an Olympian for the first time. So yes, there's expectation and pressure of, competing for one of the best countries in the world and representing America. But at the same time, you don't quite have the expectations of being the best in the world. And so going back, trying to make that second Olympic team, the pressure and the expectation was even higher and was even greater. That being said, I did it for myself. I did it because I didn't want to have that regret. I didn't want to look back and think, what if I just would have tried and given it my all one last time? And no matter the outcome, I just wanted to know that, whether I was in London competing on the floor, whether I was working, whether I was just there as a spectator and as a fan, I wanted to know that I gave it my absolute all. And while, the outcome wasn't as I had hoped, I definitely don't regret trying, because I feel like it just made me realize that, you're not defined by your accomplishments or achievements or salaries or job positions or, whatever it is. It's truly about finding something in your life that you're passionate about.
Explain more about what happened at the 2012 Olympic trials and why that was such a defining moment in your life.
Well, on my very best event, which was the uneven bars, I fell off of the bar, basically flat on my face. And in that moment, it's kind of when I, truly realized that my dreams of making that second Olympic team were now over. But I needed to, pick myself up, and I needed to finish what I was doing. And that's exactly what I did. And for the very first time, I finished that routine. I landed on my feet and got a standing ovation, the worst routine of my entire life and career. And so I feel like that just truly became quite like a monumental moment for me in my career, professionally, but also personally, and just realizing that, people are still going to love you. People are still going to support you, no matter what. It's not about, the end placement.
How did you decide what you wanted to do after your competitive career in gymnastics was over?
Well, that was, probably one of the hardest things, was trying to figure out, like, who I was just as a person instead of, okay, I'm not doing this gymnast. So I really needed to figure that out. And I actually had put school on hold while I was training. And so I moved to New York City and I started my education at NYU. And for the, next 4 years, it kind of just allowed me to be able to figure out who I was as that person. And obviously learning so much through school, but just even learning so much about myself as a person and, being able to graduate and kind of truly just feel like Nastia instead of being Nastia Liukin, the Olympic champion gymnast,
Right.
or the Dancing with the Stars. There were so many different things in my life that I felt like kind of almost like put me in this box. And I feel like I was kind of able to like get out of that box while living in New York.
So tell us more about what you're doing today and what your goals are.
Sure. So it's been really exciting as, for me, I've always been really passionate about trying to give back and help that next generation. So I've actually co-founded a platform and a business called Grander. And it's truly to help empower and inspire the next generation to, try to help them on their journey, try to help them become the best version of themselves that they can be. And whether that's in sports, whether it's in entertainment, whether, they want to be a founder, a CEO, a lawyer, a scientist, whatever that is, by providing, them with content and live events. And again, we've built a platform, which has been so cool for me because I've learned so much and just now being, a woman in tech. And it's really empowering for myself as well to kind of be able to go outside my box and to be able to kind of realize that, I'm not just like this gymnast. I can be a female in tech and I don't know as much about tech as, I knew about gymnastics, but I think with everything and anything, it takes time and being able to learn more about it. Like, it's so fascinating to me. And then I'm so excited about this next chapter of my life. And, gymnastics, I feel like was kind of that first chapter of my life. And now being able to kind of move on into that next chapter has been, scary for sure at times, but also really empowering.
And on those days when you've had doubt and when you felt scared, because I'm sure even though you seem like such a confident person, you've probably had days of doubt, I'm guessing just like everybody else. And I'm curious to know what has motivated you and empowered you on your absolute lowest days when you've just felt awful?
Yeah, I mean, I have definitely had those days. And I think that's the problem with social media sometimes is that people don't see that because we don't necessarily always show that. And people only have glimpses into our lives, from what they see on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. So it's definitely challenging, especially for this next generation, I feel, because they don't see the obstacles. They don't see the bad days. They don't see the days that we wake up and we're totally unmotivated and, we're lost, we're confused. We don't know who we are. We've lost our identity or feel like we don't have our, the definition of our self-worth and all those things. So for me, it's, a few things. I think really importantly to set goals for yourself. And that's why I think it's important to kind of keep yourself accountable by whether it's writing those down, making a vision board, even if it's just like the notes in your phone or, whatever it is, and truly surrounding yourself with the right people. I've been so lucky to have so many incredible people in my life and the people that are in my life on a day-to-day. And obviously that starts with family, but your closest friends, but also your team, your team of people that are constantly, you're constantly talking to, they're constantly trying to evolve and even challenge you at times, to be a better version of yourself and to, help you work on whatever it is that you want to work on. So I've just learned so much, I feel like, over the last 10 years and really, really the importance of those people that are in your life. I couldn't stress that, and couldn't stress that more because I feel like I've had people in my life that at times haven't really been there for the right reasons. And, as hard as it is to kind of let go and to move on, I feel like it's so important to surround yourself with the right people.
As a gymnast, you've dealt with a lot of pressure in terms of your body size and shape and that kind of thing. And I'm wondering what message you would like to pass on to girls and women who may be listening and feeling they're too fat or too skinny or otherwise struggling with body and appearance issues.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that one's like, it's almost easy for me because I've actually had both ends of the spectrum, and so I feel like for someone that possibly has, only been said, oh, you're too skinny, or the opposite of like, oh, you're too fat. But for me, like, I've literally had both. So I can relate to so many people, I feel like. But at the end of the day, what I've realized is the most important thing is being confident in yourself. So, confident, comfortable, and also healthy. And so, I think that trying to block out those people that, A, don't know you, don't know your body, don't know what you're going through, and truly just, feel good about yourself. And so, yes, I eat healthy. Yes, I work out, but I do those things in order to live a healthy lifestyle, to have, a healthy heart and longevity and, all of those things. I don't, eat healthy or work out to be like, quote unquote, skinny or, to look good in an outfit. I truly stay active and do all those things because it makes me feel good. And I feel like when we feel good, we, are more motivated, we're more inspired, we're able to achieve our dreams and, be on that journey and be on that path of happiness. And so, to me, like, that's what it's really all about. It's not about how you look in a certain outfit or, what the scale says. Like, I couldn't tell you the last time I weighed myself. It's like, to me, like, those are like such like unimportant things. I think it truly is about how you feel.
And something that I loved that you shared, since we're a mother-daughter show, I loved how you shared the advice from your mother. You can never quit on a bad day. When did she share that with you? And when can you specifically remember needing to use it?
Yeah, I mean, I use it like almost on a weekly basis.
Right.
It applies to so much in life. And I feel like she told me this when I was like 10 or 12 years old. And I came home from training one day and I was crying and I said, this is just too hard. I'm frustrated. I don't want to do this anymore. I can't make this skill. Like and she said, that's fine. You can quit, but not today. And I first was like confused on, what exactly she meant by that. And then she said, you have to go back to the gym the next day and the next day and the next day until you have one good day. And after that good day, you can quit. We'll enroll you back in public school, find something else that you want to do. And, it took me a few days to have a good day. And then I remember coming home. And of course, because moms always know when we have a good or a bad day, we don't even have to tell them. She said she immediately knew I had a good day. And she said, okay, great. Well, I'll figure out what school you're going to go to. We'll figure out, another activity. And I quickly said, I don't know what you're talking about. I never said I wanted to quit. So, basically, it's like the moral of that story is that we're all going to have bad days, regardless of what industry we're in, regardless of our job, regardless of a sport, both in our professional lives, but also in our personal lives. We're all going to have days where it's not going to be our day. And that's okay. But the most important thing is to never quit or give up on those bad days.
Nastia, our show is called Nobody Told Me, and we always ask our guests, what's your nobody told me lesson? What is it that nobody told you about the sport or about life that you kind of wish maybe somebody had told you and you unfortunately had to learn on your own?
Well, I mean, I think this is like so simple and so cliche, but, life is hard. I think... And maybe now I've been told that, but I think at an early age, I, had to figure that out with, different obstacles that I had to overcome. And, before the Olympics, I remember, the 2 years, really 4 years before I was kind of like on top of the world, had won 2 back-to-back junior titles, 2 back-to-back senior titles, had become a world champion. I started winning all these competitions. And then all of a sudden I had an ankle injury and I had the worst nationals of my life the year before. And everyone kind of just started turning their backs on me and now saying, 17 years old, I was too old and too injured and there were girls better than me and all this stuff. And I remember just being like so heartbroken and disappointed because it was coming from the same people that had supported me just a few months ago. And so, I think in that moment, I truly started realizing that things aren't always going to go your way. And that's why, kind of going back to the beginning of, that's why it's so important to surround yourself with the right people, the people that are going to believe in you no matter what, the people that are going to, be on this journey with you, regardless of, a placement or the amount of money that you bring in, or, some kind of achievement. It really is truly about the kind of person that you are. And so, my mom has always told me it's so much better to be, a nice human being than a successful gymnast or a successful businesswoman, because that's what you want people to remember you for, is being nice, is being kind, is being compassionate, as opposed to only remembering you for winning a gold medal.
Oh my God, I think that is such amazing advice.
Yeah.
I loved hearing that. Nastia, how can people connect with you on social media, and how can they learn more about Grandeur?
Yeah, so my handles on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter are at Nastia Liukin, and our Instagram for Grandeur is at Grandeur. And we're working on version 2 of the app right now, but right now, currently, our first community is gymnastics, but we have some really exciting plans coming ahead. So you can log on to our Instagram account, or online, it's grandeursports.com.
And what about your website?
NastiaLiukin.com.
Super. All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Nastia. It's been a great pleasure to talk with you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Our thanks to Nastia Liukin. Again, her book is called Finding My Shine. I'm Jan Black.
And I'm Laura Owens.
You're listening to Nobody Told Me. Thank you so much for joining us.